A lot of breaking news coming from Vladimir Putin this hour. A lot to say. He mentioned the assassination of Charlie Kirk. He called it disgusting.
Heavily watched. A nation's eyes locked on one courtroom. Justice, hanging by a thread. The room goes still, not a whisper. Every camera trained on the defense table. Then, the unexpected. The defense halts everything. A single request. We need more time. The judge pauses. The crowd shifts in their seats. Reporters rush to send updates. Because that request didn't just slow the trial, it stopped the entire case in its tracks. This is no ordinary delay. It's a turning point. A move that could change the course of the Tyler Robinson-Charlie Kirk case forever. Every second that passes now raises new questions. Who gains from the delay? What does it hide? And how close are we to answers? Before we dive, like, subscribe, hit the bell, comment. Let's unravel this together. September 10th, 2025. Utah Valley University. A bright, late summer day. Crowds gather outside. Charlie Kirk is in Utah to speak as part of his American Comeback Tour. Hundreds of students, parents, and supporters fill the open quad. The event is meant to be about politics, not violence. No one expects the day to end in tragedy. Around 12:23 p.m. MDT, as Kirk addresses the crowd, a burst of confusion. He suddenly clutches his neck. He stumbles, then collapses. A single gunshot. A lone bullet changes the course of the day. Kirk is rushed to the hospital. He does not survive. Shock ripples across the nation. A political figure gunned down in daylight. For many Americans, it feels unthinkable. Not just another act of violence, but a political assassination in the open. Reactions pour in from across the political spectrum. Grief, outrage, fear. Investigators move quickly. Within days, police name a suspect. Tyler Robinson, 22 years old. He is captured after a 33-hour manhunt. His arrest makes headlines worldwide. Robinson is denied bond. He is booked into jail. Charged with aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, committing a violent offense in the presence of a child, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering. The list of charges is severe. It signals prosecutors intend to pursue the most serious penalties. Prosecutors make their position clear. If Robinson is convicted, they will seek the death penalty. The case immediately becomes one of the highest-stakes criminal prosecutions in recent U.S. history. In their charging documents, prosecutors reveal early evidence. They say Robinson had planned the attack for more than a week. They allege he told a roommate, "I've had enough of his hatred." Investigators say he later asked that roommate to delete incriminating text messages. Those details, reported by Reuters, shape the early public narrative, that the shooting was deliberate and motivated. Surveillance footage, prosecutors say, shows a figure entering the campus from the north, wearing a dark shirt, a hat, sunglasses. They allege the figure moved in a way that suggested hiding a rifle. Forensic teams examine the recovered firearm. DNA found on the trigger, according to investigators, matches Robinson. Another detail surfaces, a handwritten note. Investigators say it was later destroyed, but witnesses confirm it once read that Robinson believed he had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk. Even with these allegations, questions remain. How exactly did the shooter reach the rooftop position reportedly used in the attack? Was he helped by anyone? And, most importantly, what was the deeper motive? Those questions have no definitive answers yet. Robinson's first court appearances bring more drama. He appears via video feed from jail, wearing a jail-issued suicide prevention smock. He shows little emotion. He has not entered a plea. His defense attorney, Catherine Nestor, tells the court they will not waive the preliminary hearing. They argue they need more time to review the massive evidence collected. That decision alone sets the tone. The defense is going to fight every inch. The court schedules a status conference for October 30th. That date becomes the next major marker in the case, a day the country will watch. In the most recent hearing, Robinson appears virtually, but with his camera off. Silent, present but unseen. His defense team asks the judge for more time. That request for postponement freezes the case in place. Because the preliminary hearing isn't just routine procedure. It's a moment where prosecutors must show enough evidence to justify going to trial. They must put witness statements, forensic reports, and surveillance logs into the open. It's often the first public test of the prosecution's narrative. By delaying that hearing, the defense buys time and wields it as a weapon. Time to probe the evidence, time to search for weaknesses, time to prepare to challenge the prosecution at every turn. Outside the courthouse, public pressure grows. Kirk's killing has deepened America's political divide. His supporters call for swift justice. Others warn against rushing due process. Tensions in the country feel sharper, more brittle. On October 2nd, Russian President Vladimir Putin comments publicly. He calls Kirk's killing disgusting and says it shows a deep rift within American society. He offers condolences, but also frames the killing as evidence of U.S. political decay.
Mr. Putin, you are setting Europe as an example as actually using the external threats for the internal consolidation, but in the United States, quite recently, we saw some high-profile assassination that has been perceived as an internal conflict aimed to polarize the society. Do they need the external threat in order to address that problem? Well, you know, this is a disgusting thing, and moreover, it was done just in the open air, almost a live show, and it was totally disgusting and certainly I'd like to render my condolences to the family of Mr. Kirk and his next of kin, and certainly we sympathize with him. Moreover, he was defending those traditional values, and by the way, the ones that Michael Gloss came to defend with arms in his hands, and he sacrificed his life for that, and he sacrificed his life here in a fight for the traditional values. As a Russian soldier, and Kirk gave his life there in the United States, but fighting for the same values. What is the difference? There is almost no difference. And by the way, the proponents of Kirk in the United States should know that here in Russia we have Americans who are fighting and who are ready to sacrifice their lives for that. But sadly, this is a sign, what has happened, this is a sign of a deep rift in the society, of a chasm in the United States, and there is no need to escalate the situation from outside, because the political leadership of the country tries to set it straight in the domestic policy, and don't want to comment on that. This is not our business, but I think that the United States is going this way, although what you have said and what our colleague raised the question about the new high-precision long-range missiles. This is another way to distract the attention from the domestic problems. But at least what I see, still the United States leadership, the US administration actually is more inclined to pursue a different policy, focusing more on achieving national development goals the way they understand it. Thank you so much.
Putin uses the moment to criticize US policy toward Ukraine, arguing that Washington is too divided at home to lead abroad. His remarks inject a geopolitical layer into what is fundamentally a domestic criminal case.
A lot of breaking news coming from Vladimir Putin this hour. A lot to say. He mentioned the assassination of Charlie Kirk. He called it disgusting. Also, he made new comments about his summit with President Trump in Alaska, saying that he is ready to keep talking about the war in Ukraine.
Yet, despite the international headlines, the heart of the story remains in a Utah courtroom. The question is not about foreign policy. It's about evidence, law, and procedure. Prosecutors describe the discovery material as voluminous. Boxes of records, thousands of pages, gigabytes of surveillance and digital data. All of it must be reviewed, catalogued and prepared for court. Some legal analysts believe the defense's push for delay is more than a stall. By extending the pre-trial phase, they may force the prosecution to reveal weaknesses early. Every new disclosure is a chance to find inconsistencies. If a witness contradicts a prior statement, if digital timestamps don't align, if the chain of custody for evidence shows gaps, any of these could be used to create reasonable doubt. That's why the delays matter. In a capital case, even a small fissure in the evidence can shift the balance. The stakes are enormous. For the prosecution, a death penalty conviction. For the defense, saving a young man's life, or at least preventing execution. For the country, whether the justice system can hold under intense political pressure. What looks like a procedural delay is actually a battle for control of the narrative. Step back and look at the arc. The public figure, Charlie Kirk. The suspect, Tyler Robinson. The flashpoint, a courtroom that cannot yet proceed. Kirk wasn't an obscure figure. At 18, he founded Turning Point USA. He became a prominent voice in conservative youth politics. For supporters, he represented a generational shift in right-leaning activism. For opponents, a polarizing presence. That prominence is part of why his killing struck such a raw nerve. His death didn't just take a life, it shook faith in public safety. It raised fears about whether political speech in America could be protected. Robinson's background remains partly unknown. Public records show no verified ties to extremist political groups. Investigators continue to probe his motive. According to prosecutors, the FBI recovered digital evidence suggesting intent. They say Robinson sent text messages and left a handwritten note expressing his hostility toward Kirk. They say he asked a roommate to delete some of those messages. But that note, critical as it might be, was reportedly destroyed. Its existence is confirmed through witness testimony, not through a physical exhibit. That gap could become important later. So far, investigators have not named any accomplice. They say the evidence indicates Robinson acted alone, but they continue to examine whether anyone else played a role. Legal experts stress that the preliminary hearing will be the first real test of the case. It's where defense lawyers can question evidence in open court. For now, that test is postponed. October 30th is circled on calendars, but still uncertain. This pause is not a lull. It is the silence before a storm. Public voices grow louder. Some demand quick justice. Others warn that rushing risks mistakes and undermines trust in the courts. It's a clash between the need for speed and the need for due process. Meanwhile, foreign leaders like Putin seize the narrative for their own messaging, framing the killing as evidence of American decline. His comments give the trial global visibility, but they do not answer the questions at the heart of the case. Because in a Utah courtroom, what matters most is still the evidence. Who pulled the trigger? Why? And whether the prosecution can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense strategy focuses on each thread of that proof. Chain of custody, witness credibility, digital logs, timestamps. If any thread frays, the whole case can be weakened. And that is the twist. The delay itself might be the defense's most potent move. What looks like stalling may in fact be an aggressive strategy, a way to control the tempo of the entire trial. Because in a case built on alleged planning and alleged confession, uncertainty can become the defense's ally. Every new disclosure is a chance to expose contradictions or missing links. If the evidence cracks, the prosecution's narrative could unravel. This case is about more than one man or one crime. It's about how the justice system responds under pressure, whether it can separate fact from rumor, and whether it can withstand both political passion and procedural delay. October 30th, the scheduled preliminary hearing, may be the turning point. Unless the defense secures yet another delay, months of investigation and preparation lead to this moment. A nation waits to see whether the courtroom will finally confront the evidence. In true crime, silence is never empty. It's charged with every unanswered question. This is the story of power, politics, and proof, of Charlie Kirk's final moments, of Tyler Robinson's defense, of a courtroom still frozen in uncertainty. This story is far from over. Every hearing brings new surprises. Every witness opens another door. And every delay raises even bigger questions. If you want to follow every step, every court decision, every twist, every revelation as it unfolds, make sure you're with us. Like this video, subscribe to Unraveled Crime so you don't miss the next update, and turn on notifications. That way, the moment there's breaking news, you'll hear it here first. Now, I want to hear from you. Comment below. What's the one question you most want answered in court? What moment do you think will change the outcome of this trial? Your voice matters as we follow this case together. I'll see you in the next update.